This is Catholic Forum. I'm Bob Krebs, and my guests today are from the Little Sisters of Jesus and Mary, a community of vowed Catholics, women, religious, based in Salisbury, Maryland. And my guests are Sister Virginia Peckham and Sister Marilyn Bouchard. Sisters, welcome to Catholic Forum.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
You are one of, I think, just two religious communities actually based in our diocese. I think the other one would be the Benedictines, who were at Ridgely but are now in Newark. But you are celebrating your 50th anniversary. Tell us a little about your community and about its founding.
Well, Sister Mary Elizabeth Gintling, who is our foundress, was a little sister of the poor for over 20 years. It was there that she learned her deep faith and spirituality and her own work with the poor that they cared for at that time. She had an inner call from the Lord that she felt was calling her to go out and serve the poor as their needs appeared. And she waited 5 years. She spent 5 years in discernment before actually making the attempt to leave the Little Sisters and see just where and how the Lord was calling her. That was a journey in itself. One of the important things she did when she left was to go up to Canada to see Catherine de Hewitt Doherty, who was the founder of Madonna House. In a conversation with Catherine, she said, "Sister, just go start something." And that was the founding and the beginning, actually, of Joseph House. It was small at the beginning, but she was joined by many volunteers who were enhanced by her charism and called by her just sense of justice and things to do. This was in the 60s, which was a real time for inner city. The volunteers joined her, and together they formed the Joseph House. She realized as time wore on and they were doing so many good things that the Joseph House really needed a central core of people who would carry out the vision and keep that thought ahead of them. When the sisters first donned the habit and received permission from Bishop Gossman in Baltimore to form a community, when they came from Berryville and were first dressed in the habit, the volunteers were rather startled. They stayed and they continued, but they also realized that a religious community was perhaps what they were not called to. So little by little, over the course of the next 2 to 3 years, they ended up leaving, and the sisters actually, on a visit to Salisbury, Maryland and Ocean City, discovered there was a whole pocket of poverty here. And it opened a brand new vista for her. When Sister actually found another volunteer that had come, who was also interested in religious life, that was her key. And that was the beginning of our little community. When they received permission, that was in 1974. Joseph House itself was founded in 1965. So it was about 10 years later that we evolved. She founded a Montessori school. She also opened a little card book and gift shop there. She served the poor in whatever manner they needed, and it was multiple, starting with food, counseling, whatever finances they could get together. She provided help financially for them. She even began small prayer groups based on the spirituality of Brother Charles de Foucault. Anyway, we became a small religious community, and as I said, we somehow Sister opened the vista to Salisbury. And I'm going to let Sister take over from there.
Okay, sister. So actually, the founding goes back more than 50 years as far as Joseph House is concerned.
That is correct. The
But
actual ministry and the work began
yeah,
10 years prior to that.
right, right. So, sister, pick it up from there. You folks
Well, I
moved.
also know, Bob, that you asked me, uh, or you were thinking about Sister Mary Elizabeth and herself. You
Yes,
know,
yeah. About
was
her. What
her,
made her
her
so
magic.
special? Yeah.
She almost had a mystical wisdom and a charism, and it drew people in quickly. She had a deep faith and trust in God. She had a vision and a great sense of humor, which also was very attractive to people. She was a terrific storyteller, and we affectionately called her Mother Goose. She was candid, honest, and she always sought the truth. Her feet were always planted firmly on the ground, while her heart was always engaged with the Lord and what He wanted her to do. She really, really wanted to serve the poor in whatever way He called her to. It was very important to her, and she said, it was like water. I must have it. She promised the Lord that she would do the work if He would provide the means. She has, and He did.
That's beautiful, sisters. So, at the beginning of the Little Sisters of Jesus and Mary, how many sisters were there? Was it just Sister Mary Elizabeth Gintling, or were there other sisters?
Just two at the beginning, Sister Patricia Guidra and Sister Mary Elizabeth Gentling. It took 5 years before the first person came on board, and then they had three. So at one time we were as many as 12.
How many now, sister?
So
Now there's 6.
6. Okay.
now
What,
there are
6 mighty sisters.
so, tell us about Joseph House and the Joseph House Workshop.
Okay, so the Joseph House is on Boundary Street. We got a large piece of property donated by a donor, a generous donor in the 80s. It filled out the Joseph House Center. We were able to have a lot more storage, warehouse, and we got the Joseph House Workshop building. The donor asked us, she said, I have one requirement, which is that we start a soup kitchen. So in addition to the soup kitchen, we have other ministries. And the philosophy was to directly serve the poor, whatever their needs, to stabilize family life, both immediate and with an eye to the future, and to promote social justice according to the gospel. So in addition to the soup kitchen, we have a food pantry, which provides supplemental food once a month. We have financial assistance for pressing needs. This is really unique in our area, that we could give out financial assistance without a lot of requirements, except that they would qualify, because of their income level. But we're able to help people that no other agency helps. It's especially for evictions, utility cutoffs, but also for other things like medications and some other really urgent needs. We have a payee program, and that helps people who, for various reasons, are unable to handle paying their bills. We can step in and handle that for them and get them stabilized and help them to prosper on their small incomes. We have a hospitality room for the homeless. I work in that room. There, it's a day room in the morning, weekdays. They come in, they can have breakfast, they can take a shower, they can launder a change of clothes. We can provide them with some clothing. They have lunch. And above all, they can have a safe space where it's calm and hopefully hospitable, and where they can have a little camaraderie and get off the streets. We have the Joseph House Workshop.
Yeah, what is the workshop, sister?
The workshop is a residential program for men, up to 8 men, and they're usually men who are kind of exhausted and and kind of need to make a new start, usually homeless. Sometimes they have substance abuse problems, but not always. So they can join this program, get stabilized, get some material and spiritual help. And then after a little while, they begin to look for either training to get a good, steady job or to actually go out and work. They can stay there for 2 years, save money, and get a kind of emotional and spiritual stability that they need to go back out there and to have a more fulfilling life. I give an art class at the workshop, so it's kind of comic relief, but right now we're making mosaics.
Oh, nice.
So we have different mosaic signs and decorations around the workshop.
Not only the workshop, but the Joseph House, just having that area where the homeless folks can come in and be safe and get clean and be supported and not judged. That must just be quite a blessing to those folks who are in the Salisbury area.
We think it is.
Yeah.
We think it is. One time, this man was talking about a quarrel that had happened somewhere, and he said, "We're not like that. We don't have time for that kind of foolishness. We're the Joseph House people." That made me feel good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sister Elizabeth also founded the Joseph House Village, which became the Village of Hope, and that was for women, single women and women with children. And we had up to 14 women and children staying there, up to 14 rooms, little apartments for them. And there again, it's a 2-year program where they could get their feet on the ground and get a good new fresh start and get a lot of supports for parenting, find good jobs and that sort of thing.
Yeah. My guests today on Catholic Forum are from the Little Sisters of Jesus and Mary, a religious community, religious women based in Salisbury, Maryland. They operate the Joseph House and the Joseph House Workshop and other ministries. Sister Virginia Peckham and Sister Marilyn Bouchard are here with me today. And Sister, what's a typical day like for one of the sisters?
That's me, right?
I'm going to give her the typical day.
Her day is never typical because she's the superior. We rise early. We try to put about a holy hour in. Then we have morning prayer. Then we have mass. Then we have breakfast, and some of us go to work at the center, the Joseph House Center, until noon, and we have some lunch. And then miscellaneous work in the afternoon, often sort of errands and things for the community. Then at home, some of us, we alternate cooking, and we have evening prayer and dinner, and then recreation with the community after that.
You're kind of busy, it looks like, plenty to do. Sister,
True.
What attracted you to the Little Sisters? How long have you been a member of the community, and what attracted you?
Go ahead. You continue.
Oh, I've been here 12 years. I'm a widow, and my husband and I were very close, and he was ill for a while. And once he died, I realized that I was going to have a whole new life anyway. And I was a fairly new Catholic and pretty excited about the faith. And someone began to talk to my friends about maybe joining a community, and I discovered vocationmatch.com, which is like a dating site for people discerning religious life. And so I sent out the questionnaire, and the Little Sisters responded, and I came down, and our system was to go for a week, then a month, and then if everybody was agreeable, to then become a postulant. So that's what happened.
Sister Marilyn, your turn.
Well, I guess most of my life I had always had that aspiration and hopefully the call to religious life. It took me a long time to take full action on it. I always had a desire to thank the Lord for the good he had done for me, and I also wanted to serve him, especially with the poor. For the little sisters, I was very fortunate in that they took a belated vocation. Um, I was in my 40s, mid 40s, when I first entered. I've been here over uh, 34 years, uh, about now. Anyway, as I said, one of the wonderful things about the sisters is Sister Mary Elizabeth always said, she doesn't do the calling, God does. And so she has left this window of opportunity for people who are a little older or who are a little above somebody else's um, uh, top framework for age. Um, and we've had people who have come at various ages. You know, laughingly, I came in, I had a good job, I was happy in the job. I was going back to school to regain my teaching credentials. And anyway, I just needed a new break. The Extension magazine came to my desk where I was working, and it had a beautiful length of articles in Sister Mary Elizabeth. So I thought, oh, maybe a resident volunteer would be a good thing, you know, a diversion and something changed with, you know, somewhere in the back of your head, you think, well, maybe this is the time. Well, after a conversation, after a visit, I, I have to tell you quickly, I came on a turnaround bus to the pro-life march in Washington, called Sister, somehow got a hold of her and said, could I come? She said, oh, I'm on retreat. Could you come next week? And I said, oh, sure. Well, I was coming from Wisconsin.
Oh,
And, but I drove and spent some good time with them. And after I talked to Sister and was spent a little time with her, before I knew it, I was signing on the dotted line to become a sister. And it's been a gift, you know. Either the Lord set it up for that operation, or she was praying that maybe I change my mind and come on board. That's
when,
my.
now, obviously, Sister Marilyn, you knew Sister Mary Elizabeth, but did you, Sister Virginia, or had she passed by the time?
Oh, she died. No, she died quite a while
2004.
before I came.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it
unfortunately.
2000? Is that when it was?
2004.
2004. Yeah, I've been here at the diocese since 2000, and I remember when she passed. So, yeah.
Just shy of 90.
Oh gosh. What what is the future hold for the Little Sisters? What is your future plans?
Well, we are still a small community. As I said, at one time we were 12. We now have 6 members, and that's our total number. We have one sister who is officially retired, but she is a prayer warrior. You know, she spends so much time in prayer that she supports us in that totally. The rest of us are engaged in anywhere from the center, the workshop. We have a wonderful good neighbor program. We are also engaged at the village yet, and various any things from administration to the everyday cooking, working, cleaning, and whatever we do. Um, we have people from all over, and they're, as Sister mentioned, she was a widow, and some people have children. Our future, of course, is going to depend a lot on our future growth. We always pray for more vocations, for more resident volunteers. We have both male and female opening for volunteers. And one of our resident volunteers has been here for over 30 years himself.
Wow.
So there's a hold, you know, Sister. Once she gets a hold of you, look out. She holds tight, and the work goes on in that way. But we're also praying. You know, we have ministries. If we didn't have volunteers, Bob,
We couldn't do anything.
we couldn't do anything. They are the ones who are underpinning. They're faithful. They're everything from day volunteers to weekly volunteers to monthly to even yearly in our special events things. So they they are just a real gift for us, and they make it all possible. But of course, we still need that core
Sure.
that I talked about earlier to carry out the vision. There are more things to do. Sister had a lot of forethinking. You know, one day she was hoping for an entire complex of people that lived in proximity, formed community, and just made, like a little so-called village, let's say, just working and helping and creating an extended community. So there are things to do. We have not created new ministries. We've expanded on the ones we have already. But when more people come, we'd like to, continue in faith and justice, and whatever we can do to help stabilize family life and touch the poor.
How can our listeners and viewers help your work and help the work of the sisters?
Well, we have multiple links to share with Joseph House.
We have a monthly newsletter. So we also, the best way is to go to the website probably. It's thejosephhouse.org. We have of course, we have an email address and phone number and the address all on that website. I guess we want to mention some of our upcoming events. Do we have a moment, Bob, to just say
Sure,
what's
please
coming?
do. Yes.
So we had a golf tournament, a fundraising golf tournament we had 16 of them, but we finally had to end that one this year. But we have a concert every year that raises money for us and the Christian shelter in Salisbury, homeless shelter. A wonderful Catholic Christmas choral concert with the National Christian Choir, and it's just beautiful. It's spectacular. Then we have a giveaway of brand new coats for children. The Knights of Columbus buy the coats and help us to distribute them. We have a food collection that a wonderful family has been doing for over 25 years. A great big collection of imperishable food for our pantry. And then we have a toy giveaway for the people in our food pantry group. And we give away hundreds of 600 or 700 bags of toys to children.
It was well over 700.
700, yeah, bags of toys last year. So.
That's terrific. And our listeners and viewers can get more information about those events at thejosephhouse.org, correct?
Can do, yes.
Also very good.
Absolutely.
Well, sisters, I think we could probably go on talking for the next hour about all the great work that you've done and continue to do, but unfortunately we're out of time. Congratulations on reaching this 50-year milestone, and we hope that God continues to bless you and the other sisters and your work for the needy in Salisbury and the surrounding areas. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank
you
you
for
so
your
much,
kind
Bob. God
invitation
bless you.
and enjoyed speaking with you.